Broadcasting 24 hours a day from Leeds University Union.
The sound
of students in Leeds.
This is Leeds Student Radio.
Hello and welcome to the third show of Women's Thought on Sport. You are live with Katie and Niamh here on this Sunday morning. How are you today, Katie?
I'm actually quite good. I haven't had any breakfast yet, Niamh, so I'm going to, work my way through this show. But I'm very excited with what we've got coming up today and enlighten us, Niamh.
So coming up on today's show, we'll be discussing the women who made the sporting headlines this week, taking a look at some football news and some mixed sporting news. And we'll also be taking a look at the success of recent swimming at the FINA World Cup and at the recent European Championships this summer. But first up, we've got a little song for you. This is Ed Sheeran with Sing.
It's late in the evening, lost on the side. I've been sad with you for most of the night, ignoring everybody here. We wish they would disappear, so maybe we could get down now. I don't wanna know if you're getting ahead of the program. I want you to be mine, lady, to hold your body close. Take another step into the no man's land. For the longest time, lady, I need you, darling. Come on, set the tone. If you feel the falling, won't you let me know? Oh, oh. If you love me, come on, get involved. Feel it rushing through you from your head to toe. Oh. Love is ablaze, I saw flames from the side of the stage, and the fire brigade comes in a couple of days. Until then we got nothing to say and nothing to know, but something to drink and maybe something to smoke. Let it go until our roads are changed, singing we found love in a local rave. No, I don't really know what I'm supposed to say, but I can just figure it out and hope and pray. I told her my name, I said it's nice to meet you. Then she handed me a bottle of water filled with tequila. I already know she's a keeper, just from this one small act of kindness. I'm in deep, if anybody finds out. I meant to drive home, but I drunk all of it now. Not sobering up, we just sit on the couch. One thing led to another, now she's kissing my mouth. I need you, darling, come on, set the tone. If you feel the falling, won't you let me know? Oh, oh. If you love me, come on, get involved. Feel it rushing through you from your head to toe. Oh,
To Women's Thought on Sport. Hello and welcome back to Women's Thought and Sport. Sorry about that. You're with Niamh and Katie on this Sunday morning. And don't forget, if you've got any views or opinions about what we will be talking about in this coming half an hour, please don't hesitate to get involved on Twitter. That's @ThisIsLSR. I know particularly Zoe Howe listening right now will want to get involved, so don't forget to tweet. Right, so tell us what we're talking about today, Niamh.
So first up, we're going to discuss a few of the headlines that have come to our attention this week regarding women in sport. And first up, last week's show was focused on football. We had a great interview with Vicky Palin. And the headline this week is that England's women's first match at Wembley will be played in front of a larger crowd than the men's team game, which was against Norway in September. Katie, tell us how many tickets have actually been sold.
Well, I've heard at the moment we've got a ticket capacity, well, not capacity, ticket number sold 41,000, which is larger than the game against Norway, as you said, which was 40,181 tickets sold. And it's really exciting, especially because it's only a friendly match as well.
It's great. And I think obviously the game in Norway was not really a dull one, but it was only a 1-0 match. And I think that after the recent successes of the Women's Super League, which was shown on the BBC, and all the successes of the Women's World Cup and qualifying, that now we're starting to get a lot more coverage and interest.
Yeah, I wouldn't completely write off the men's totals. I mean, I know they've got a match coming up, which is expected to be a 55,000 crowd. I think partly it's just because of the pretty poor performances we saw in the World Cup this summer. You know, people were almost punishing the team a little bit. And we did see the numbers go up when they started doing their Euro qualifier matches. But yeah, no, I don't want to take anything away from the women. It's so incredible. I mean, 40,000. I think previously the biggest crowd they'd had watching them in an England friendly was 20,000, so they've doubled the capacity. And I think what's so exciting is just, as we were saying, this is a friendly. People are wanting to come and watch a game of football. I mean, England-Germany is going to be a cracker. God, I can't believe I just said that. And because I think the last time they played, Germany won, so it's going to be quite an aggressive match. I think it's exciting. Oh yeah, I'm really excited.
We've sort of seen this as a bit of a breakthrough for national football. Do you think that this same sort of capacity crowds could be emulated onto a league stage now, that if they're taking a lot more interest on a national scale?
I think it will take a lot longer to come around. In general, we don't see such large capacities at league matches. You know, say like a League One men's game, you're not going to see 40,000 people there. But it can only do good things, I think, because if you've got that many people, what it's going to do is that atmosphere of that crowd, they're singing, they're egging the players on, is going to only increase the level of football that's being played. And so if women can take inspiration from that in the England team, and also, as Vicky was saying to us last week, you know, even if you're not playing but you're a female athlete going to watch, you will get such inspiration from doing that. Hopefully then take that back to those women's league matches, and it's going to be just incredible. I'm really excited to see what it's going to do.
I'm definitely excited. And staying on to the theme of women and football, another headline that came to our attention this week was about women refereeing. So a county FA official who was male has been suspended for 4 months, and he's been fined quite a substantial amount after stating that a women's place is in the kitchen and not on the football field.
One of my favourites.
One of my favourites. Get back in the kitchen and make me a sandwich. So what do you think? Will sexism always be present in sport, and was it right for him to be punished in this way?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's just so unnecessary. I mean, I just can't understand why they still think it's a good idea to actually say things like that, because what good is going to come from it? And also, to be honest, I think 4 months is a bit ridiculous. I think it should be a lot longer. To say that to someone who's obviously had to pass exams, tests, gone through a lot of training.
Same qualifications as him.
I mean, it's just so stupid. And, you know, we were saying earlier, actually, and I just thought I'd bring it up while we're on air, that a team in the Leeds Intramural Football League, it was, I think, the men's sports science team was also suspended from the league this week following allegations that they made some sexist comments towards a female referee in Leeds as well. So it's quite worrying, I think, Niamh, that this is happening both on a national or, county level and also in our university. I mean, what do you think about it?
I definitely agree. I think if it was the other way round, if a women football player has said to a male referee, "Oh, you know, I can't really think of an example, to be honest with you," but I definitely think that sexism needs to be brought out of sport now, especially with this female referee will have gone through, like we were saying, the exact same training, would have had to pass the exact same exams, probably had a bit of a harder entry into becoming a referee because of the fact that she is a woman. So I do think that whether it's at uni level or whether it's at a national level or a county level intermediate professional, I think that it just definitely needs to be sort of cut out, and the punishment is right. So
I just think, to me, what seems so ridiculous is the fact that this woman's gender has absolutely nothing to do with her ability to decide if something's offside, if something's a foul. You know, it just, that's why it makes me angry, is there's no need to bring in someone's gender. I mean, let's look at it the other way around, Niamh. Let's say we're watching a women's football match and their male referee comes up with a decision they don't like, and you say to them, I don't even know what you'd say, but something sexist towards it. I mean, do you think that would happen? Is that a likely situation? What would you think about that?
I don't think it would happen as much in a women's football match as it would in a men's football match. I mean, another example is on Twitter now, people like the big names of Rio Ferdinand. He was sort of suspended recently for making comments on Twitter. There's no way of getting around it nowadays, and I'm glad it's being taken a lot seriously. So I think that's all we can go forward with, and just it shows that it's not acceptable anymore, and women are sort of coming into fruition as big sports stars and should be respected in the same light as men.
Yeah.
So that's all we've got to say on that. Moving on, coming on to a slightly new topic now, which Katie and I slightly disagree on. We're coming on to the topic of mixed competitions. Now, world number one golfer, Stacey Lewis, has backed the idea of a mixed gender Ryder Cup tournament. And only 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how the Winter Olympics are going to introduce a 4-man mixed bobsleigh event. So, Katie, what do you think about mixed competitions and having mixed gender sporting events?
I'm sort of on the fence about it. I think this is the first time we've disagreed about anything, isn't it? This could end in war. But yeah, no, I like the idea of women and men competing in the same event. So, you know, things like tennis, where women only play 3 to 3 sets rather than 5, and in rowing, when women are often in the boat race between Oxford and Cambridge, sorry, just bringing another example, they row less than half the distance of what the men do on a completely different course on a completely different day. And I think that is what bothers me. I think women are more than capable of doing exactly the same as men, and thus I would like to see them on the same stage on the same days competing in the same events. But to me, I don't think they need to compete against each other. One of my favourite aspects of watching the Commonwealth Games this summer in Glasgow was seeing in the Olympic Stadium, the Athletic Stadium, was watching them do kind of integrate the Paralympic and the Olympic athletes together. So going from a Paralympic event straight into, you know, the 800 metres final. I thought that was so amazing. But at the same time, I wouldn't want them competing together, because obviously that creates quite an unfair field. Or, you know, it's nice that women have their own competition, and it's nice that men have their own competition. And so I wouldn't necessarily want to see them together, but I would like to see them doing the same things. But what do you think, Niamh?
I think mixed competitions could be a great platform to raise the boost the profiles of the female sporting players by playing with their male equivalents, and just boost their profile, because this year no such mixed events actually exist in golf yet. But this year a mixed event was introduced for the first time to the Youth Olympic Games. So I think that with the success of men and women competing together as a team, rather than being known as sort of the men's football team and the women's football team, obviously you have the different men and women are capable of different things. So I don't think you could ever have a mixed rugby game, because the physicality of men and women is completely different. So for some sports it just won't work. But I think for something like golf, for something like bobsleigh, I think it could be great to boost the profile and to put men and women on an equal pedestal.
Yeah, I can see that. And I would be really interested to watch it, particularly the bobsleigh.
I think it'd be very interesting to watch.
And yeah, I'm not sure. I like the idea that, or I think what I don't like the idea of is that we need men in our sport to almost drag us up. using inverted commas there, to the same level. You know, I think women are perfectly capable of doing it by themselves. Obviously, it takes a lot longer. We haven't got the media coverage and things like we spoke about last week, which you should check out on our podcast, week 2. But yeah, no, I think it would be interesting. I think it's going to be new and exciting.
Oh, it will be. So if you have any views on what we've just spoken about, whether it be the women's refereeing, women's football gaining more tickets or selling more tickets rather than the men's, or mixed competitions being introduced into sport, always don't forget to tweet at This Is LSR. But now we've got a song for you. This is George Ezra with Casio.
Cassie's got a new plan, gotta get herself away. Well, I better act quick, I better change my ways. Or maybe I'm wasting, maybe I'm chasing time. Oh, come on, let's face it, I'm only ever lost in mine. Well, I got my tracing paper so that I could trace my clock. And the bastard face kept changing and the hands, they wouldn't stop. Well, I was ripping out the battery, I received myself a shock. And to add insult to injury, I could still hear tick and talk. Casio, Casio, please don't leave. Casio, Casio, please don't leave. Cassie's got a new plan, gotta get herself a break. And I try, for heaven's sake. Well, I traveled to Australia and I traveled there by train. This something might sound strange to you, but on the way I came today. And I wrote to tell my family and I wrote to tell my friends. I arrived home, it was lost again, and this torture never ends. Casio, Casio, please don't leave. Casio, Casio, please. Inspector fix me, my Casio's burnt out. We're losing memories that I can't replace. She says she's tired of me running in circles. She says it's time that we took a break. Casio, Casio, please don't leave. Casio, Casio, please don't leave. Casio, Casio, please don't leave.
Ba-da-da-da. Welcome back to Women's Thought on Sport. This is our third live show. You're with Katie and Niamh, and now we're talking about swimming. So just a quick reminder as well, don't forget to tweet if you've got anything interesting to say, anything controversial, or if you've got a question you have been dying to ask about women's sport. We are the people for you. So the FINA Swimming World Cup series has just come to the end. It consists of 7 separate meets, which started this August and will finish today in Singapore. We've had some pretty good results from there so far. We had Fran Housel winning 3 golds in Tokyo, broke the British record. She also got a gold and silver in Singapore. We've had Siobhan Mary O'Connor, bronze in Tokyo, silver in Singapore. The list goes on. We also had Britain's most successful European Championships this summer with a total of 24 medals, including 9 golds, coming from the likes of Jazz Carlin, Fran Housel, Adam Peaty, and we saw the return of Liam Tancock. So, Niamh,
Yes.
Big question. After the disappointment of London 2012, where we saw, I think it was only 3 medals.
3 medals. It was Rebecca Adlington's 2 bronze medals, and it was Michael Jamieson's silver medal.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. He could have got gold there. But anyway, that's not the question I'm asking. The question I am asking is British swimming back on track now?
I would like to think so. I would like to hope so. I think the success, especially of the likes of Fran Housel with her sprinting this summer, I mean, she's been incredible. She was incredible at the Commonwealth Games, incredible at the European Championships, and once again, she's shown at the World Series that she can once again be back on the top of that medal podium with golds, breaking records still. So I think that in terms of the women, we're definitely back on track. I think Siobhan Marie O'Connor, she's very young at the moment and she's definitely coming into her own. But if you put all 4 together that we just mentioned, the likes of Fran Housel, with Siobhan Marie O'Connor, with Georgia Davis, with Jazz Carlin, all together as a sprint relay team, we're definitely contesting for gold medals there.
Yeah. And how important do you think it is? I know a couple of weeks ago we were both talking about the gymnastics and how we had a stellar performance at the Commonwealth Games, but then when it came to the World Champs, the British team kind of underperformed. How important do you think it is for these British swimmers to actually feel like they're on top and not just be pushing for sort of, the 3rd, 4th, 5th places, to actually be going for that British record like Fran Housel did?
I think it's very important. I think with the likes of the European Championships, where you don't have the big swimmers from, USA and Australia, I'd say would be our main competition at such a big event like the Olympics and the World Championships. I think it's really important to be consistent throughout the season and keep on top of that medal podium, whether you're a bronze or whether you're a gold. Just to know that you're always in medal contention, I think is great for the mentality of these swimmers. I mean, you can see there that when Fran Housel is in great form, she really is on top form, multiple golds at multiple events. So I think it's definitely important. And after, it was the British swimmers' most successful European Championships in history, with a total of 24 medals, including 9 golds. So I think that just shows that when we are on top form, we definitely can be in contention as one of the best teams, but we need to keep that form going towards Rio.
Yeah, but still, that was only the Europeans. That cuts out USA, cuts out
Australia.
Japan, Australia. Yeah, do you think it's that realistic a representation of the sort of world standings of the British team at the moment? I
think the European Championships are not a great reflection on how we could perform at an Olympics. I think it can be, as you say, our main competitors aren't always involved, which we can see with the likes of the USA. But I think that the mentality of winning those medals at European and being European Championship, going into a big competition, and having those gold medals already will make you fight to maintain your level up the top. And
I suppose looking at the times as well is quite an interesting comparison for us as well. Sorry. Because, Fran Housel breaking the British record isn't, just her winning against European athletes that aren't in contention. It's her actually getting a time which is concrete. So that's really exciting. We were also talking last week about media coverage. And
yes, definitely. Yes, you were.
I was going to say, so this year the European Championship highlights were shown on the BBC rather than just on Eurosport, which is a channel far fewer people have access to. Yes. So do you think it's gaining a bit more popularity now? Obviously swimming as a participation sport is very strong. It's very easy to get involved with. But we don't see it on TV that much except for the big meets. Do you think it's good that this is being shown?
I think it is a great breakthrough to have BBC coverage. It was the highlights that were shown of the European Championships, whereas full coverage is still shown on Eurosport, so every single competition, all the heats. But I think it's great because for a sport that has such big participation, whether it's, when you're little and when you're just a small child, you're always taught how to swim and you're always part of a swimming club, and for something that has got huge participation, the only real interest comes at these huge meets like the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, the European Championships, the World Champs, the World Cups. So I think it's great that BBC have now started to respect its status up there as a huge competitive sport. And I think the fact that it was shown on BBC does show that this year we are improving with our medal hauls, and we are actually improving as a British team, which is why there's more interest. I think if we were still only getting 3 medals and no golds, they may not have shown it on the BBC. But because we got 24 medals and 9 golds, it got that interest from the BBC.
Yeah. And what do you think about swimming as a spectator sport? Because I know perhaps that might be one of the reasons why it's not shown so much, is a bit like rowing. I know I keep bringing that up, But, it's not considered the most exciting sport to watch compared to something like, say, football or athletics. What are your views on that?
I think I just agree with the interest of the sport. I think there's so many different specialities. You can be 50 metre, 100 metre, then you've got the long sort of 800 metre races, which we know Becky Adlington was famous for, and you've got so many different strokes, and you've got relays. I mean, talking about the mixed sport, we could see mixed relays coming into swimming, which I think would be really interesting. So I think the actual interest of the sport as a spectator sport, I think it's great. I mean, the 50 metre sprints are always, they're over in a flash, but you blink and you've missed the swimmer who takes over at the last minute and touches the wall, whereas with the 800 metre sort of freestyle races, you get to see their development and how they cope with the tumble turns, and who is better at the tumble turns, who can get the advantage. So as a spectator sport, I think it's great, and I think it's definitely got room to grow a lot more.
Yeah, I think maybe some people's problem with it is the fact that there are so many categories. They ask the question, why? Why can you swim in the 100, 200, 50 and do a relay, and then you've got 4 golds? Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in history. Do you think that's something that might be addressed in the next few Olympic cycles, cutting out some of the events? Because personally, I'd love seeing them all. I think, as you said, you get a different story from each race. I don't know what you would think about that.
I think they're all completely different disciplines under one sport. I mean, you can compare it to something like rugby. You've got rugby sevens, rugby league and rugby union. It's all rugby, but the disciplines are so completely different and require completely different skills. So I think swimming, all events should be kept, whether it's 50 metres, 100 metres, and then all the way, and open water swimming as well, with the likes of Kerry-Ann Payne, huge open water swimmer. That's getting a lot more interest now. So I think they should definitely keep it all. And speaking of Michael Phelps, I mean, he's a huge name. Definitely, especially his return hopefully to Rio will be a huge boost for the swimming.
Well, except for the controversial things he's been up to recently.
Of course. But Chad Leclos is also a huge name now, so he's a lot of fun.
We have had a tweet from a Miss Zoe Howe. Don't know who she is. She says, "This is LSR. I can't think of any sexist examples to say against male refs. This says something in itself." So yeah, I guess that's kind of backing up what we were saying earlier. So sexism needs to stop. So finally for you today, we've got our regular feature of Sports Personality of the Week.
We do.
And do you want to reveal it to us all?
I will reveal all. This week we've got we have a sprint, a long distance runner, an athletics Sports Personality of the Week, which is Nicola Sanders. And you may ring a bell. I
used to really like her.
Yeah,
actually.
I thought she was great. So after an amazing career in athletics, including some world championship medals, I think she's got a few silvers under her belt. She has announced just the other day that she is retiring after being plagued by injury in the last few years of her competitive career.
It was really sad actually, because I'm quite a big athletics follower, and she, in that world championship race, it was Christina Hurgu who picked her to the line, and they were both close, and it was so exciting to see 2 British women right at the peak of that 400 metres. She could have gone on to do what Christina Hurgu has done, I think, and it's such a shame about the injuries. But anyway, that brings our show to a close. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope we've given you some thought-provoking ideas to mull over for the next week. But until then, Women's Thought on Sport will be back next Sunday at 12:30. So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. Thank you for listening.
Sound students
in Leeds,
delivering over 100 hours of broadcasting made by 300 students every week.
Hello,
and welcome.
And
it's all about you.
You.
This is Leeds Student Radio.
Would you say we'd be venturing into a zone of danger?
Danger Zone, every Friday from 7 p.m. at Fab Cafe. Playing the pop and rock anthems you love. With drink deals all night long, there's only one place where everyone's your wingman. Danger Zone, only at Fab Cafe.
a Fab
family-run business with over 40 years' experience in providing affordable and reliable accommodation.
Winners of the Leeds Landlord Award.
You should look no further than Spencer Properties when choosing where to live next year.
Spencer Properties own all the homes they let out and work closely with the Knowledge Project to promote safe, reliable housing for student and professional communities.
Visit spencer-properties.co.uk for more information and follow @SpencerProp on Twitter for all their latest listings.
Spencer Properties, the #1 provider of quality accommodation in Leeds.
This is Leeds Student Radio.
Live from Leeds University Union.
At the heart of your student life.
The things that matter to you.
To you.
To you. To you. Your news.
Your views.
Your life in Leeds.
Live at 5.
This is The Beat in association with Amber Cars.
Download our app for the quickest taxi service in Leeds.
Broadcasting 24 hours a day from Leeds University Union.
The sound
of students in Leeds.
This is Leeds Student Radio.
I want to talk to you.
The last time we talked, Mr. Smith, you reduced me to tears. I promise you it won't happen again.
Do I attract you? Do